Guys, we have to chat Goodreads Choice Awards because what is happening? Hi everyone, my name is Tori. This is Novel Life. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, obviously, we're talking about Goodreads Choice Awards. So the nominees for the Goodreads Choice Awards just dropped last night, and let me tell you, it was like 10 p.m. and I was like, I'm not gonna look at them. I'm gonna film a video today and we'll get my reaction. And then I was spoiled online for them. So I was like, well, might as well just look at them anyway. And to be honest, I'm not surprised, but I am surprised, if that makes sense. There are some, both in the romance and the romantasy category, that I'm kind of shocked by. But I also looked at the like fantasy category and like the YA romance sci-fi fantasy category. And I'm like, is this really the best of books that we have? This is supposed to be the best books. Is it really? And I'm a little confused. I would love to have a conversation in the comments down below in a very nice way. Like, do we need Goodreads to change the criteria? Because honestly, I'm quite confused by some of these. So we're gonna start with the romantasy category because I feel like I have more feelings about the romantasy category than I do romance. Like, that's just because it's like the second time I think they've had romantasy. Is this the third? Second or third time? And I have a lot to talk about. So we're just diving right in, okay? We're not playing around, we're diving right in. I will mention the book. I will tell you if I've read them or if I DNF'd it, because I have DNF'd some of these. And some of them that were on my TBR, and then like my general feelings about it. Romantasy, these are in no particular order, it's just how they showed up on my Goodreads app. So The Irresistible Urge to Fall for Your Enemy by Bridget Knightley. So this one, I am pretty sure it is not a Harry Potter fanfic. Now this author has previously written Harry Potter fanfic on like fanfic websites and stuff like that, but this is its own like separate book. And I actually tried to read this book. I got about 30 pages in and I just got the ick from this book. Now, I did get an early copy of this book from a Polycon, and the blurb that's on the back of that book that came out earlier this year in art copies, like the physical copy I had, is totally different than the blurb that actually came out when the book was released. So I don't know if they changed what was inside of the book, but I just got the ick by this book. As someone who has a chronic illness, I just thought it was weird that our heroine, who is a healer, who is like, you know, all about saving people and stuff like that, basically told our hero, hey, you just need to prepare to die because there's nothing we can do for you and his illness that he has. And I was like, I got the ick. How are they supposed to have a HEA at the end of this book? So was I surprised to see it on this list? No, I'm not surprised to see it because it got a book box, like it got a special edition. I think through Fairy Loot or some other book boxes. So like usually that's how you can tell. But this one I was like not surprised, but also like this is not the best book. Like out of all the romantasy stuff, no. Now this one is The Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. I am surprised because I thought this is more just like paranormal romance. So I find it interesting that this is this and another book on the romantasy category. I thought it would technically be classified as romance. So like, would you put a paranormal romance in romantasy or would you put paranormal romance in romance? Because with paranormal romance, it's set in like our world. It's like set in Los Angeles, set in New York, stuff like that, right? This one, I think it's just set in a super cozy small town. Could be anywhere. So it's not like has a fantasy world, but they have witches that have magic. And that's the only kind of like fantasy element, I guess you could say. So I find it interesting that this one's in there. Not that I'm mad at it. I love that it's in here, but I thought that it would be more like a romance category thing. I do actually have it on my shelf. It was on my fall TBR, which I still may get to, but my audiobook is taking forever to come in. Shield of Sparrows by Daphne Perry. I personally am not going to read this one just because I've seen some of my friends read it who have read a lot of fantasy romances and they said it wasn't the best. But if you have read it and you enjoyed it, I'm so glad you did. I'm not surprised that it's on this category. Like I had a feeling based on like how much hype it got earlier this year. I'm not surprised. Alchemized, I'm also not surprised. Now, this one was a Harry Potter fanfic, and she completely changed the fantasy world and the magic system, and I think she did an absolutely fantastic job with it. So, yes, I'm very happy that that one's on there. Now, this one is actually a new release. So it's Our Vicious Oath by M.E. Davenport. I actually heard a lot of people on TikTok talk about this, and it came out the end of October, so it only has been out for like 2 weeks, and the average rating is 3.99 and only has 1,200 ratings. So I have this on my TBR because everyone on TikTok has been talking about it and saying it's absolutely amazing. So I can't really say anything because it literally just came out, but I'm happy that it's on here. Now, this one is also one I'm very surprised by, made by Ali Hazelwood. This is a paranormal romance. I don't really think it's romantasy. But then again, like, what is the definition of romantasy? I don't know if Goodreads has a definition of what counts as a romantasy. So I'm confused by this one as well. Like, I did read this one. I thought it was fine. I am kind of annoyed, I guess you could say, that Ali Hazelwood has 3 books in the like categories. She has 2 in romance, which we'll get to. She also has 1 in romantasy. Technically it's paranormal. So I'm really confused. Like, the only romantasy thing about it is that they're wolf shifters. Is that what we're counting as romantasy now? Because I feel like that's totally different. But yeah, another one that I'm not surprised by is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. This one is a hit. Rachel Gillig writes really good for romantasy. This one was a fun one. It wasn't my favorite by her, but I'm not surprised that it's on here. I just also think that I read this at a time where I was kind of in a slump. Another one that I'm not surprised by is Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. I actually didn't see that many people actually read it, but it does have high ratings. It has a 4.4 average with 17,000 ratings. So, like, I am someone who read it because I love Rebecca Ross, but I've seen a lot of people saying that they wanted to read it, not that they read it. So I'm interested to see if this will make it into the top 10 round. Are we shocked by this next one? Onyx Storm, Rebecca Yarros. I actually forgot this came out this year. I think it came out, in February. And I read it and I was a little slightly disappointed by it. I gave it 3 stars, 2.5 technically. So I want to reread this. Clearly I will be rereading it before the 4th book comes out, because I always do that. But I kind of went into it having really, really high expectations, and I just felt like it was a repeat of everything happening and that happened kind of in the 2nd book, or they kept having the same conversation. So not surprised that it's on here, but it wasn't my favorite book. Another one that I actually DNF'd is On Wings of Blood by Briar Boleyn. This one's interesting. I DNF'd it twice, actually. I tried to read it earlier in the year, and I was like, wow, I just don't like these characters. They're like really immature, and they're supposed to be like 19, 20, 21 maybe. And I was just like, they're acting like they're 16. I really don't like this. It's not my vibe. Like, that's just how I felt about it. And then I was gifted a physical copy for my birthday, and I was like, okay, let's give it another try. The audiobook is out. Let me try the audiobook. And I got it. I got to about 36% into the audiobook, and I was like, I'm still not liking it. Like, by 36% into a romantasy book, I feel like we should have some sort of progress with the plot. And all she was doing is reading books in the library. And I was like, I'm so bored with this. So this also just wasn't my cup of tea, but I do know a lot of people who loved this book. So I'm also interested to see if this one will get in the top 10. This is also one that was indie published, and it was trad published this year, which is a whole conversation I can get into, and I probably will get into later. Goodreads has their specific, it has to be shelved so many times and all that stuff. So when something is like, they don't always include indie published books on these Goodreads Choice Awards list anymore. So I find it interesting that they take the same books that were indie published with the same amount of ratings, right? Like, if a book has been out for 2 years indie and then it got trad picked up, the ratings don't, like on Goodreads, there's not 2 different Goodreads books. It's the same thing. So the shelving and the amount of ratings and the amount of shelves are still the same from when it was indie and trad. Like, they combine them. So I'm like, is that fair? Is it fair? That's a good question that I want to bring up. Like, knock, knock, Goodreads Choice Awards, please answer my questions. Okay, this one came out of left field for me. Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales. This is Emily Wilde's book number 3. I think book number 2 was also on it. This came out earlier this year, and maybe that's why I was like, ooh, over my head, totally forgot about this. I have never read Emily Wilde. I also have, like, no desire to read these books. When people read it, they love it. That's totally fine. Not for me. I'll just say that. I'm surprised it's in here because I didn't know it was actually romantasy, but that's just because I had no idea about this book, like what this book was about. Now, Enchantra by Kaylee Smith. This one I'm not surprised because Phantasma was on the list last year, I think, and I love Phantasma. That was a 5-star read. This Enchantra, I personally did not like it, but I'm still a fan of Kaylee Smith. I just didn't like this book as much as I liked the first one, so I'm not surprised that it's on here. Not surprised. Silver Elite by Danny Francis. Are we surprised? This one and Shield of Sparrows literally came out the same day. The marketing behind these 2 books were pushed so much because I felt like they were not only competing with each other, but they were 2 brand new authors in this genre. So Devaney Perry has wrote contemporary romance before, but this was her first romantasy, so they were pushing that. But Danny Francis is a pen name or a debut author. I don't know which one. I personally don't really care, but it's the new author in this romantasy, like new author name, I should say, in romantasy. So the marketing push behind these 2 books, behind the publishers, I'm not surprised that it got as much attention as it did. I read Silver Elite. I enjoyed that one. I gave it like 4.5 stars. Good dystopian vibes, like brings me back to like 2015 dystopian romance books. So I'm not mad at it. I'm not surprised that it's on here. Same thing with Direbound. So this one is also really interesting because I read it when it was indie. Now it's trad picked up, and now everyone's reading it because it's trad picked up. It's in bookstores across the US and everything like that. But once again, the ratings and the average rating and stuff is for indie and the trad. So I'm like, but you never put indie books on the list before, so we're just including the ratings for that. Like, I don't care. I just need that to be like specified, because that definitely changes some things, I feel like. Rose in Chains by Julie Soto. I did read this. I did not like this one. This one is a Harry Potter fanfic, and I think that she really struggled with changing the Harry Potter, taking all the lore for Harry Potter out and putting in her own stuff. I think she struggled with it, and it really like was a detriment to the story because it was hard. But also she named the female character Bryony. Come on. Did you really try to change things? Really? That's what you came up with? So yeah, I did not like that one. This one came out of nowhere. Accomplice to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. I didn't even know this book came out. It came out the beginning of August. I know people love this series. This first book I saw all over TikTok a little while ago. I just have no desire to read this. Like, this is not my romantasy vibe, if that makes sense. Like, I don't lean towards these type of romantasies. I lean more towards the Direbound, the Alchemized, like the darker fantasy or the more heavy fantasy world building and stuff like that. So I found that one interesting. Immortal by Sue Lynn Tan. I'm very happy that's on here. I actually have the Fairy Loot edition. Is it Fairy Loot? They had an edition of Immortal, so I'm very surprised that's on here. For some reason, I thought it came out in 2024. It came out January 7th of 2025, so it was very, very early this year, which is why it wasn't on my radar, because I thought it came out in 2024. The next one is Bonds of Hercules by Jasmine Mass. I'm very surprised that this one's on here, because this one literally came out October 28th, so it's been out for literally like 2-ish weeks. And I don't know these ratings. There's 20,000 ratings, which is fantastic, but like, do they have this list already planned before these releases come out? Because I feel like 2 weeks is like, did they have another book in place of this? Like, what if it didn't meet the same criteria? So I feel like they go off the hype of the first book, and then they automatically put the second book on there, if that makes sense. I would love to know your opinion if you think that, but that is my theory. We have The Wrath of the Fallen by Amber V. Nicole. This is also another one that recently literally just published October 28th with Kensington. Now, this is another series that it was indie, and it got so much hype and attention, and people love this series, and this is the 4th book that come out in this, and it only has 4,000 ratings. So I don't know what the average ratings is. I have to like look. Not average ratings. I don't know how many ratings they actually have to have. I don't remember. But for that one to come out 2 weeks ago, the same thing as Jasmine Mass, and the difference, 20,000 ratings for the Jasmine Mass book, and then 4,000 ratings for the Amber V. Nicole. And I feel like those two series are just as popular. So I'm like, something seems a little fishy to me. And then the last one in the romantasy category is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. I'm not surprised by this one in the slightest, because this is the 3rd book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. This one, I mean, okay, how do I say this? I'm a little surprised. I'm not surprised that Carissa Broadbent is on here. I'm surprised that this book is on here. So this is book 3, and it came out November 19th, 2024. Now, Goodreads, for the Goodreads Choice Awards, it's not by calendar year. It's by, like every November. It's like the cutoff date's November 14th, I think, for 2025. And the cutoff date was, I think, November 19th previously, like for 2024. So it goes from November 19th, 2024 to November 14th of 2025 or something like that. That's when the books have to be released. I found that interesting because The Fallen and the Kiss of Dusk by Carissa Broadbent, which is book 4 in this series, just came out on August 5th. So I think they took that one with the highest ratings, because that one has 107,000 ratings, and the average is 4.0. And then the second book, or the 4th book in the series, has a 4.0 rating with 34,000. So definitely has less ratings overall. So yeah, I just find that interesting that that is the one that they chose for this category. So anyway, are we ready to talk about the romance category? Because this one I've also read a decent amount. So going straight off the top, Problematic Summer Romance by Ali Hazelwood. First one in this category. She also has Deepen by Ali Hazelwood, which I have read both of these. Now, I get really annoyed because, yes, Ali Hazelwood is a very popular author. She has had so many releases between novellas, her paranormal, I guess now romantasy, because it's considered romantasy, I guess. She's had 2 contemporaries. She just had a Spotify original. I think it's on Audible now or something like that just came out. It's called Bound, I think. So she's had so many releases this year, okay? out of every single book that has released, just trad published, not even indie, because they don't really consider indie anymore, right? Out of all the romance books, you are literally going to have Ali Hazelwood take up 2 spots in the top 20 of the Goodreads Choice Awards. Really? Like, we know she's very popular. We know it. Why do you have to put both books? And yes, both books came out in here. But, like, for me, that's just wild. Like, why do we have to put 2? Like, choose the best one. Do you know what I mean? Like, choose the one with the highest ratings or the highest average. So, Problematic Summer Romance has a 3.86 rating, which I think you have to have it higher than a 3.5, which is actually kind of low, but it has 232,000 ratings. When I read this over the summer, I had the best time with it. Listened to the audiobook within 24 hours. I really loved it. Now we're going to go to Deep End. Deep End got a lot of attention because, oh my God, it's spicy. Oh my God, it had these like BDSM aspects. It's a romance book. So non-romance readers were reading it. Has a 3.8 average with 396,000 ratings. I would have just chose Deep End and moved on because you know people are going to vote for the 2 top Ali Hazel. If you read one, you probably didn't read the other, or you read both and you're going to choose your favorite. Like, she's that popular. You know what I mean? Like, why? Why do we have to have 2 spots? Like, just pick one. Anyway, that is my rant about having multiple, because not only does she have 2 in the romance category, she has 1 in the romantasy category. And I don't think I've looked at, like, audiobooks, if she has any for audiobooks, because they have an audiobook category. So, found that interesting. Scythe and Sparrow by Bryn Weaver. I think I DNF'd this. Did I read this? No, I gave it 3.5 stars. I couldn't remember if I DNF'd this one. This one came out earlier this year. I'm not surprised that Bryn Weaver is on here. Once again, I'm annoyed that she also has her last book in that serial killer series, like, the Scythe and Sparrow. She also has Taurus season on here. So once again, we have one author that is taking up 2 more spots. When those 2 spots, one for Ali, one for Bryn Weaver, could have been to another trad published book. Like, there are so many out there, and this is what they choose. I found it so weird. So yeah, this one, Taurus season, just came out at the end of September. So it's very new. It's very new. I mean, yes, it matches all the ratings. I just find it absolutely bizarre that we have 2 authors that are taking up 4 spots. Out of all the romance books that's released, really, this is what we choose. This is why I get mad. I really wish Goodreads would listen. I really wish Goodreads would sit down and listen and be like, hey, maybe we need to, like, change how we do things. I don't know what they're I don't know who the hell picks it. We don't pick these original 20. I'll tell you that. So anyway, I could go on and on. Now, I am happy to see Kennedy Ryan. I love Kennedy Ryan so much. It's can't get enough. 3rd book in the Skyland series, and it came out in March or April. I read this and I really did love it. I think that Kennedy Ryan is now leaning a little bit more towards women's fiction with this series. So I am interested to see what she does with Score, which is coming out next year. It's the 2nd book in the Renaissance series, her Harlem Renaissance series that she has. Real was very spicy. So I say very spicy, more spicy compared to the Skyland book. So I'm interested to see where she goes with that one. I'm not surprised to see Elsie Silver with Wildside. She's had 2 books that come out this year, Wildside and Wild Card. Both of them are, once again, one at the beginning of the year in March, one at the end of the year in September. So I'm like, technically she could have 2 too, but I'm not surprised they chose Wildside just because that's the one that came out first. This one I gave 4.5 stars to. I liked Wild Card, which is the later book that came out, more than this one, but I'm so happy to see Elsie Silver on here. Now this one I'm very surprised by. Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. I have seen no one talk about this book. I love Lauren Asher. I've read a decent amount of her books. I love her Formula One series. I just not have caught up with this series in particular. And I'm very interested because I've seen no one talk about this. So I'm like, is it the publishers? Are they choosing like big authors by certain publishers? Like, how do we choose which books? Because I don't know that many people who have read this and raved about it. Like, I know other romance books. You know what I mean? This one, very interesting. The Favorites by Lane Fargo. This, I swear on my life, is not only just a fiction book. I thought it was fiction, but I thought it does not end with a HEA. So romance category should theoretically be a book that ends with a happily ever after. That's how you have to say that something is a romance, it has to end in a happily ever after. I don't remember if this ends in an HEA or not. I remember someone telling me that it has a different ending. Like, it's not the ending you think. So I'm very interested to see, because this is compared to Taylor Jenkins Reid. Taylor Jenkins Reid writes historical fiction. She is never in the romance category. She's in the historical fiction category. So I'm like, if everyone is comparing this, then why does it need to be that? It is tagged as romance, but it's also tagged as literary fiction, sports, contemporary. So I'm like, I'm kind of mad about that one because I swear I thought that was just a fiction book. I don't know. I could be totally wrong by that because I have not read it, but I'm a little like, once again, not only do we have 4 spots taken up by 2 authors, we have this spot taken up by an author who I'm pretty sure it doesn't actually end in an HEA. So what do we have? What's happening? Megan Quinn, Till Summer Do Us Part. I'm not surprised to see Megan Quinn on here. She literally kills it in the Amazon Kindle store. She's #1 all the time. I think Till Summer Do Us Part was #1 or in like the top 5 of the Kindle store for weeks, if not months during the summer. So she's killing it in her own way. I'm not surprised she's on there. One Golden Silver by Carly Fortune. Like I'm not shocked. I mean, I don't know that everyone has read Carly Fortune, has loved it. I don't know a lot of romance reader who has read it, but I think the casual romance reader has read this. But in like my romance community that I've like created, I haven't seen a lot of people read this. But then again, it's like one of those things where Carly Fortune is like an Emily Henry. It's like a Emily Henry name. She's always going to be on the top. Whatever. Rewind It Back by Liz Tomford. So happy to see her on here. This actually is trad published. This is, I think, the first book in the Windy City series that was full trad right off the bat. And I think she's going back and publishing like the rest of the books in the series as trad. So I'm interested to see if any of those books will be on the Goodreads Choice Awards next year, because they'll be trad published throughout the year next year. Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry. I've not read this book. I don't know if I'm going to read it. I've heard mixed reviews and I'm just not in that kind of mood right now. So you know, I'm not surprised Emily Henry's on here. Once again, everyone picks up her books. It's in airports. Everyone talks about it. She does, you know, Good Morning America, all this stuff like that. Say You Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I'm not surprised Abby Jimenez is on here. I actually enjoyed this book. I feel like I'm in the minority. Let me actually see what the average rating is. A 4.0 average with over 400,000 ratings. So, If It Makes You Happy by Julia Olivia. I read this and I loved it. I had the best time. And I know Julia Olivia has previously been indie published. She's been around for a decent amount of time as an indie author. So seeing her have a trad book, and for her first, I think this is her first trad book, and seeing it on the Goodreads Choice Awards, I am so happy for her. I know everyone talked about it. Everyone on TikTok during the fall read this and absolutely loved it. There's not been one negative thing I've seen about this book, so I'm very happy that she's on here. Spiral by Bal Cabra. Now this one, I find it interesting because she had the first book in this series. Oh my gosh, what is it called? Collide, which I had read. That came out last year. Well, it would have been on the Goodreads Choice Awards last year, and I don't think it was on there, so I'm surprised that this is on here. And everyone I've heard pick up this book and read it has loved it. So this is more of like a rom-com romance, and that's not my thing, so I just haven't read this one. King of Envy by Anna Wong. I'm not surprised this one's on there. She did have The Defender come out at the end of October, but once again, I think authors will choose like their newest or their oldest book in the year. So this one, I did love this one. I love the Kings of Sin series. First Time Caller by BK Borson. I have not read this one, and I'm kind of surprised that this is on here. I thought her Good Spirits would be on here, but I think this one has more ratings because it came out the beginning of February. So, The Gingerbread Bakery by Lori Gilmore. I'm surprised this one's on here because the Strawberry Patch Pancake House came out earlier this year, and this one, The Gingerbread Bakery, came out in September. So I'm very surprised that they didn't choose the Strawberry Patch Pancake House. But once again, this is the book out of the two. I've seen people say they love the Gingerbread Bakery so much more than they loved the Strawberry Patch Pancake House. But I'm excited to see her. I do love this Dream Harbor series. It's cute. It's cozy. They're romances, open door romances, and I enjoy them. This is another one with indie to trad ratings, okay? Lucy Score. This is Story of My Life by Lucy Score. This one supposedly came out March 11th. So I know Lucy Score has been coming out with books that were indie published with Bloom. Like Bloom has picked up all of her books. And I'm like, does that mean all of her books can be counted technically for the Goodreads Choice Awards? Because I see no one talking about this book. Because this was published indie so long ago, it has over 100,000 ratings, but most of those were from the indie book. So what if they change things, but those ratings still count? That's weird to me. I find that weird. I don't know if I'm the only one, but I find it weird. And the last one is Sarah Adams' Beg, Borrow, Steal. I have not read this one. Sarah Adams is just a rom-com-y-ish romance author. I have no desire to read her. That's fine. Now, I don't even think we have a sapphic romance on here. We don't have one sapphic or MM romance on here. That's actually really sad. So, like, obviously diversity, we can do better. Like, Goodreads, you just need to do better. I feel like we say this every single year and nothing changes. But, like, diversity in general needs to be better because there are so many romance books out there that are written by not white women, and you know, we can put those in there. But not only just like diversifying the authors that you have, diversifying the type of romances, LGBTQ plus, disability rep. None of these have disability rep. I mean, of the ones that I've read, no one has disability rep. So yeah, I'm a little like about that. But same thing for Romantasy. The Romantasy category is kind of diverse, but not really. So like, Obviously, we need to do better. Like, overall, I feel like Goodreads, we have the same conversations over and over again, that Goodreads just needs to, like, fix a lot of things, clarify a lot of things, fix a lot of things, diversify in all aspects. And every year we sit down and we make these videos and we're like, hey, this needs to change. Hey, this needs to change. And nothing really changes. So yeah, I would love to know your comments down below. That is my reaction. I did not hold anything back, but I've been talking for a very long time. But if you made it this far and you want to let me know, leave me the star emoji. Leave me, what would you rate the Goodreads Choice Awards? Would you rate it 1 star, 2 star, 3 star, 4 star, 5 star? Let me know in the comments down below how many stars you would give these Goodreads Choice Awards. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content from me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.